शुक्लाम्बरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये सरस्वति नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणी विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः. Okay, so we were looking at Skanda Purana. Almost we are about to conclude. Let's see if we can complete today. So last time if you remember, we were to start with, I think we talked a lot about Ujjain. Then we talked about Someshwara Linga, that is Somnath, the first Jyotirlinga amongst the 12. And we also talked about a few places near Somnath Linga, like Siddheshwara Linga, the story behind Somnatha, and so on. So now next we start with Dwaraka Mahatmyam, that is not very close to Somnath, but it's in the same state. So let's start Dwaraka Mahatmyam. Now once a lot of sages, they ask Suta that how can now Lord Vishnu, Lord Krishna, he goes back after taking the Krishna avatara, he returns back to Vaikuntham. So now next what is there is now in the Kali Yuga. So all the sages ask, now Krishna is gone, so now what to do? All the Kali Yuga has started, so moral values, there is a lot of evil things that are happening all around, era is full of sinful deeds and so on. So now next what to do? So at that time Suta tells that there are many places, holy places in praise of Lord Vishnu, you can go and worship there. So just as in the Kali Yuga he had taken an incarnation as Krishna to kill all demons and so on. Now in the Kali Yuga, though we cannot see him with our naked eyes, but still in many places he will be there. So ultimately he tells that Dwaraka is a very very auspicious place, because this place was submerged in the ocean then finally the Lord himself had spent a lot of time there, and Krishna, his last days of Krishna Avatara, he had spent in Dwaraka. So Dwaraka Nagari, it actually has the feeling, or you can say the significance of Lord Krishna being there. So further, therefore Suta says that this is a very very auspicious place, and after all this, so with this he concludes, and then he tells that he tells that after Dwaraka had submerged in the ocean, Kali Yuga started, and it became very difficult. Now in today's times also you see, right, we need not even go back to Skanda Purana. Now Skanda Purana only tells that it has become difficult. In today's times also you see, now 1 hour all of us, if we have to listen, even if all of you have to listen, and even if I have to speak about Skanda Purana, that too I'm telling you just the gist, right, still maybe all of us, we like to do this, I'm not saying, but still it becomes very difficult. 1 hour I have to spend listening to the Puranas, or 1 hour I have to spend speaking about the Puranas, Saturday, Sunday, right? Or maybe you have to go to a temple or so, or maybe you chant the names of the Lord. Oh, today I have to chant 1 chapter of the Gita, and that also we very proudly we go and tell 4 people, do you know what I did today? I listened to the Puranas, I went and chanted a chapter of the Gita. That also seems to be like a task for us. It becomes very difficult, right? Difficult in the sense, or we feel that we are doing something great. So rightly Suta then only he told in the Kali Yuga that to the sages that in the Kali Yuga everything seems to be very difficult. In the Skanda Purana only people have experienced that. Now after Skanda Purana so many years, centuries have passed, still it is the same thing, right? So now you imagine how difficult we feel. So it becomes very difficult to do devotion and so on. So the sages ask a very valid question, that it becomes very difficult. So now what to do? Krishna is also not there. So what should be done? So what they do is, all the sages, they go, they seek Lord Brahma's help, and they pray to Brahma, and Brahma then tells all the sages that you go to Patada, where you have Prahlada, who is the supreme devotee of Lord Vishnu, and you go and tell him, he will be able to help you. All the sages, they went to Patada, and they found Prahlada, and they also found Mahabali, and then next what happened is they tell that we have this problem and so on. So now what should be done? So we have come with a request that in this Kali Yuga, where can we find Lord Vishnu, how can we worship him and so on. Please, both of you please guide us. So at that time Prahlada, he understood very well the question and the problems that the devotees were facing. So he told them that I'll tell you the name of a very sacred place, which is actually a secret till date. It's called Kushasthalapuri. It's a divine city situated on the western coast, and nearby you have the river Gomti that flows there. It ultimately meets the ocean, and there you have the city, that is Dwaravati Puri, where you can find Lord Shiva in the form of 16 kalas. This is nothing but Dwarakapuri. And so till then this place was not very well known. It was just submerged in ocean. Today we have the temple and everything of Krishna whom we go and see, but still you see some part of it, some part of Dwaraka, it is almost under the sea. And so this is where Prahlada says that Lord Vishnu has chosen this place as his abode. He dwells there in this Chaturbhuja form, having 4 hands, and even all whatever sins you do, even the greatest of sinners also will be free of sins in this place. And there is a famous temple of Lord Trivikrama also, that is Vamana, on the banks of the river Gomti. It is not very far from this temple, so there also you can go and visit. You can take a bath in the pond and so on. So it is said that Lord Krishna had transferred all his divine powers into this Trivikrama idol that you can find in that temple. So there is no holy place such as Dwaraka, and if you want to take a glimpse, a divine glimpse of Lord Krishna, you must visit Dwaraka. Now all the sages, they thank Prahlada and for sharing his secrets and so on, because except Prahlada no one else knew about the glory of the Lord then. Now all of them, now if something like this was being told, all the sages now became very curious. They wanted to know more, so they requested Prahlada that how the river Gomti, how she came down to Dwarka. Prahlada then he told that he talks about the virtues of going on a pilgrimage to Dwarka. He tells that even if you just think, or even if you take a resolution that you are going to visit this place Dwaraka, that itself, it is said that not only your sins but even the different sins that have been done by our ancestors and so on, even that also you will be freed from, and even your ancestors will be liberated from the tortures of hell, it seems. So if someone of our ancestors, or if we ourselves, if we go to hell also, depending on our karma, it is said that even they also will be freed from that if we make a visit to Dwarakapuri. Such is the significance, or so holy is this place. And further, so that's the reason why it is also called as Vishnu Dham. Just as we have Vaikuntha, we have Vishnu Dham, and it is said that in Dwaraka, each step that we take, that we walk, that is the virtues that we get, it is similar to performing the Ashwamedha Yajna. So you see how holy this place is. Further, then Prahlada says that there is a story how Gomti, this river, was brought down from Dwaraka. So this was actually the original question that the sages had asked Prahlada. So once Vasishtha, he was responsible for bringing down river Gomti from heaven to earth. So you will see that most of our rivers, be it Ganga, Yamuna, Narmada and so on, they were all Saraswati, they were all actually originally present in heaven, and slowly they have descended down to earth. So once it so happened that during Pralaya Kala, when the whole world was submerged in water, the lotus manifested from Vishnu's navel, nothing but Lord Brahma. Lord Vishnu told Brahma, you start the creation process. Ultimately everything was being done, and it is said that many sages, they went to the western coast of India and they did a lot of penance, and after this the Sudarshana Chakra, it appeared before them, and this chakra, it seems that it told that very soon Vishnu will be seen on this western coast. That's how Dwarakapuri came in. And the chakra that you see now, the Sudarshana Chakra, was of the Lord's only, was of Lord Vishnu. And all the sages who had come there on the western coast to do a lot of austerities, they did a lot of rituals in the name of Lord Vishnu, and they prayed to the Sudarshana Chakra also. And now for doing austerities, different penance and so on, we need water, right, for performing Arghya. So therefore they needed some holy river so that water can be used for doing the rituals. So there was no holy river then, and at that time Lord Brahma, he instructed Ganga that go to earth, wherein you will be known as Gomti. So one tributary of the Ganga is Gomti, and such sage Vasishtha, he led this Ganga river, which later became Gomti. And it is said that sage Vasishtha's daughter was Gomti. That is, Gomti was considered to be the sage's daughter, because Brahma told Ganga that follow Vasishtha like a daughter follows her father. So finally Vasishtha led Gomti. Gomti was present there. All the Manasa Putras, that is Sanaka, Sanandana, and so on, 10 Manasa Putras of Brahma, they were very happy and they prayed to Lord Ganga. They expressed their gratitude to Vasishta for bringing down Ganga, and all of them they said, since you have brought down Gomti, you would be like your father. And that's how Lord Vishnu also appears before them. They blesses, and he tells that this place will be known as Mokshadayaka, because all of you have done a lot of austerities here. It will bless anyone who comes here with moksha, liberation from all the different sins that we do. So very, very auspicious place. It will be known as Chakratirtha also because of the Sudarshana Chakra, which was born here, and which originally came to inform all of you that I will manifest here in Dwarakapuri. And I assure all of you, Lord Vishnu himself has told this in the Skanda Purana, that I will not be leaving this place even for a single moment. So that is the reason even today when you go to Dwaraka, you can actually feel the presence of Lord Krishna there, it seems. This way finally all the sages, all the Manasaputras, they were very, very happy, and they finally offered Arghya to Lord Vishnu with the holy water of Gomti. And ultimately Gomti, she merged with the ocean, that is, she met the Arabian Sea, and that's how Lord Vishnu also, after the Krishna Avatara, he disappeared from there. And then you have in the later stories Krishna coming in, then he going away. Today we have Dwarakapuri, and then the Manasaputras, it is said that they continued to live there for many, many years. So that's the reason why today also, if you go to Gujarat, in the state of Gujarat, you have a lot of devotees who are Vaishnavites, right? Go and ask them, they will say we are Vaishnavas. This, they pray to Lord Vishnu, they pray to Lord Krishna a lot. So mainly Bhakti also has further flourished in Gurjara Deshe, just as we have the reference in the Srimad Bhagavata Mahatmyam as per the Padma Purana. When we look at the Padma Purana, we'll know more about that. So therefore, for everything that happens, there are Krishna devotees everywhere, but especially people living in Gujarat, or those who are natives of Gujarat mainly, they have a lot of devotion towards Krishna, or they themselves very proudly say that we are Vaishnavas, right? So mainly they are devotees of Krishna and Vishnu. That is mainly because of this Dwaraka influence that is there, Dwarakapuri in Gujarat region, that is the western coast of India. So with this Dwarakapuri's incident, Skanda Purana comes to an end. And next we start with Narada Purana or Naradiya Purana. Okay, so did Skanda Purana till here? Is it clear? Yes? Anyone has any doubt or so?
Yes, clear.
Clear, right? Okay, let's continue. So next let's start with Narada Purana. Now Narada Purana, actually if you see, it is also a Vaishnava Purana only, and it is presented as a dialogue between Narada and the Sanat Kumara in about 22 chapters. So that's how the conversation goes between Narada and the Sanat Kumaras. And mainly again it talks about major places of pilgrimage, and Narada, the greatness of Narada also to some extent can be seen, because if a Purana only is named after Narada, we call Narada as a Devarshi, right? So this Purana, through this Purana we also know the importance of Narada. So there is a verse, even the Vedas also, it seems that this speak about the Puranas, and there is a shloka that comes in Matsya Purana which says that Puranam Sarva Shastranam Pratamam Brahmana Smritam Anantaram Cha Vaktrebhyo Vedastavya Vinirgataha. Now it is said that, now this is what is mentioned in the Matsya Purana, saying that Brahma, he recalled all the Puranas even before the creation, and then Vedas and everything emerged from his mouth. But it doesn't go that way. First the Vedas come in. Vedas were already there. They said to be the breath of the Lord. Then you have the Itihasas and then the Puranas. So mainly, if you see, the Puranic knowledge was there everywhere. In the initial introductory sessions, if you remember, about you can say 1.5 crores or something like that is the verses. And roughly then, Vyasa, he divides that into 18 main Puranas, Upapuranas and so on. So the division and then the proper 18 Puranas, if you see, that would have been, maybe arranged, segregated, categorized in a way quite later. But then knowledge was always spread about here and there. Now for example, here also if I tell you, now though we are talking about Puranas, if I give you some extra information, it will be scattered, right? But still you might remember this, you might note it down somewhere. But then our topic is not that. Our topic is mainly now Narada Purana. But still, if some extra information is, I tell you 4 5 things which are not directly related to the Puranas, but still that is extra knowledge. So we don't note it down somewhere, but maybe 10 15 years down, you tell it to someone you remember, then you say, no, somewhere I had heard in some lecture or so. The topic was Puranas, but still someone told me about this, right? So this was what used to happen then, because things were not categorized properly. People had a lot of knowledge, but they didn't know that this belonged to this category. So that is the reason why Vyasa took this responsibility of categorization that was there. So only if things were categorized, it becomes easy to understand. Now all this information, now only you see, even after categorizing also, say for example Skanda Purana or all the other Puranas, it becomes very difficult to understand, right? Sometimes you see story within stories. That too when we are hearing. If you have the book with you, it still becomes easy. But when you just hear, it becomes very difficult, right? Sometimes maybe later you listen to the audio, you try to understand it better. So such things can happen. Maybe when I am talking now, you understand everything. But at 10 o'clock I ask you, oh no, she was telling something but I don't remember. Maybe tomorrow you try to recollect, you cannot remember. And maybe tomorrow what I spoke today, even I might not be able to remember. This is because of the depth that is there. Lot of things, lot of information is told, so it becomes difficult to remember. So that is the reason why all this. So you imagine, even after categorizing into 18 Puranas and into different chapters and so on, also, if it becomes difficult for us, you imagine when nothing is categorized, everything is just scattered, but still people have studied. So we can, you can say that it becomes difficult even to think, right? Today when we have everything so easy, everything has been there in the book form, or you have people telling you, or we ourselves read to the different sources we get, still it becomes difficult for us to understand, or still we complain saying that no, this is beyond my understanding and so on. So just imagine what our sages and all the ancient people, scholars, how much they would have racked their brains and used their brains to gain all this knowledge. Okay, so further we start with Narada Purana now. And Narada Purana, obviously it has been created by none other than Narada, and it has been told it was about 25,000 verses, but roughly 25,000. In some references you have about 22,000 or so. Now it is mainly divided into two parts. Few chapters. The first part of the Narada Purana mainly talks about origin of the universe, as usual, the creation topic, then different rituals, mantras, and talks about different fasts also that have to be done. And next, the second part has got beautiful stories with regards to the various incarnations of Lord Vishnu, several pilgrimage places, and so on. Now, once it so happened that about 26,000 sages they assembled. Now, the story of Narada Purana starts. 26,000 sages they assembled in this Naimisharanya, in a place called Naimisharanya, and they were all worshipping Lord Vishnu. They had renounced all their desires, comforts, everything. They had given up their material life, and they were worshipping Lord Vishnu for the benefit of entire humanity. And when they were staying in Naimisharanya, all the sages they discussed about the four, like dharma, artha, kama, moksha, or you can say religious, spiritual topics. At that time, Shaunaka, he was the one who was leading, and he says, now all the other sages, because Shaunaka was a leader, they used to ask a lot of questions to him. So he tells that there is a great sage, Suta, I am not able to answer all your questions. So he is a very learned disciple of sage Vedavyasa. He will be able to answer all your questions. Basically, he lives in a place called Siddhipita. We will all go there and we will tell him to answer whatever doubts we have. Hearing this, all the sages, they thank Shaunaka and they all reach the hermitage of sage Suta. Suta welcomes all of them, and Suta at that time tells that I will tell you the great Purana which was once told by Saint Sanat Kumara to Narada, and now it is known as Narada Purana. So that's how the background story of Narada Purana starts. Now Narada prays to Lord Vishnu. So Suta once said that the one Suta starts saying Sanat Kumara, the great sage Sanat Kumara, he was Brahma's Manasaputra, and he used to always be engrossed in the worship of Lord Brahma. And once he went to the peak of Mount Meru, that is Himalayas, and wherein he saw the sacred Ganges, the Ganga river flowing there. And he was about to take a dip in the river when Narada, he comes there, and now Narada is also one of the Manasaputras of Brahma. So if you see, the Sanat Kumara is actually the elder brother of Narada. So he prayed to him, and he also took bath in the river. So they did their other rituals, the Sandhya Vandana and so on, and both of them they started discussing. They sat seated and they were talking about the virtues of Lord Vishnu. At that time, Narada asked that he asked his elder brother Sanat Kumara, how can one realize Lord Vishnu? How can one pray to him? And so on. So Sanat Kumara starts answering. He tells him about creation, how the Lord created different things. Then you have the creations of Lakshmi, goddess Lakshmi, Uma, Shakti, Chandi, and so on. So like this, he talks about even Purusha. Purusha is nothing but the supreme being who is there. That is nothing but Lord Vishnu himself. So all this he talks. Then he talks about five senses that were created, then ego, qualities, five physical elements, space, air, fire, water, earth, five senses, eyes, sound, scent, smell, touch, taste, and so on. Then all the other living beings who are there, animals, birds, other creatures, then human beings, then seven worlds, seven guards of the worlds, Jambu Dvipa and so on, seven islands. Then you have mountains, plains, seven seas. So like this different creation, nature, whatever is there, everything Sanat Kumara tells. Finally, towards the north, now this reference is given, the geographical reference of India, Bharata Desha is given in the Narada Purana, wherein Sanat Kumara says that towards the north of the great Saline Sea is the Indian Ocean, and towards the south of the great Himalayas is situated the holy land of Bharata. Himalayam samarabhya yavattindu sadovaram tam deva nirmitam desham hindustanam prachakshate. You have the Subhashita. Starting from the Himalayas till the Indian Ocean, that land which is created by gods itself is nothing but Bharata Desha. And Narada Purana mentions that people who worship Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu, they live in this land. So you see how blessed we are if we are born in this land. And it is said that because of their virtues, gods also worship the people living in the Indian mass, Indian mass of land, Indian land mass. So it's not that only we worship the Lord, it is said that Lord also worships us. That is the reason all the incarnations have taken place in Bharata Desha. And then further you have it is said that those people, now mainly here if you see a lot of you can say praise or a lot of things have been talked about the country as such, and it is said that those people who are ignorant, who are ajnanis, don't have proper knowledge, even though they are born in Bharata Desha, if they don't worship the Lord or if they don't seek moksha and so on, they have to suffer the tortures of hell, it seems. Until when? As long as the sun and moon are there in the sky, that means forever. So this is what is told. So the simple meaning of this is, if you are born in such a pure land, now forget about the religious or spiritual aspect. Let's not say that some other country or some other continent is high or low. It's not that just because we are born in a particular country, we are natives of a particular country, it's not that we should boast about that. But really, if you look at the qualities that our country has, or the least that we can do is, the point which is being made here is, if in the Puranas also some reference has been made to our country, surely we are blessed to be born in this country, and wherever you live, in whichever part of the world you live, that's our choice. But still, we must not forget our roots, forget the gift that our country has given us as well as for others. Because if you see, this is one thing which I personally feel, which we must learn from people belonging to other beliefs and people belonging to other countries and continents. If you see, wherever outside you go to a foreign country, or maybe you can say to anyone else speaking some foreign language also, if you see, they never give up on their roots, right? Or even when the Britishers also, they came to India, the Mughals came to India, you see, their influence can be seen till date in our country. Now, Indian influence also in some extent can be seen in other countries, like you have practice of yoga or spirituality and such things that are there, or maybe food and so on. Today's times it has developed, but still all this can be seen very lately or very recently. Whereas we are the ones who we are very proud, and we say that maybe Western philosophy or this and that, we get influenced very easily. It's not wrong to be influenced. Whatever is good in others, we can accept that and live. There's no problem in that. But then forgetting our own roots and then doing something else is of no use, right? So this is one thing which, of course, I feel this on a personal level, wherever others who come to our country, or mainly even if we go outside, whatever it is, just as those people, maybe they belong to other beliefs, or people they belong or stay in some other place, they never give up on their roots, right? You will always see people, whenever they speak, some foreigners or so, they will speak in their own country. You go to any foreign country, you go to France, people speak in French. You go to Europe, they speak in English. Whereas you come to India, we still speak in English only. Though we speak in Hindi maybe, but still, if you see some people, maybe none of us do that. But if you see a foreigner also coming, we feel very proud, right? Or we feel very happy when our own kids speak in English or some other language also. Wherein we don't tell our own children to. Of course, English is important. In fact, now we are also speaking in English only. Reason being, we have people belonging to different places. So one mother tongue or one, so there is a lot of diversity. We cannot stick to that. So therefore, we choose a common language. That is fine. But then you forget your own things and then you do something else. This is one thing which we must surely learn from people belonging to other beliefs, though they might have a few flaws in them, but this is something which people living in other areas, other countries, as well as other beliefs, they are very strong on their roots. If we do that, then we don't, when we read such things in the Narada Purana and so on, this comes in the initial part only. Those who want, you can also see, I think 1.2, I think in the first chapter only, you have this reference towards the end which talks about the beauty of our land, India. So we must never forget our roots. This is what has been told here. So further, it is said that the whole world, starting from Brahma till a blade of grass, that is till a kusha grass, all this is a manifestation of Lord Vishnu. Okay. Further, you have the story of Markandeya. Now, Sanat Kumara further he continues that faith is very very important. So significance of faith has been told here. So though this is a story of Markandeya, he first talks about the significance of faith, wherein he tells that faith is something which only if you have faith in things, only then it will lead you, or only then you will be happy. Now this is what we see. It again does not and he himself says that it is not limited to something maybe religion or spirituality, but even the menial jobs, everyday jobs that we do, only if it is done with faith, you will get some results. Say for example, tomorrow is Sunday, say all of us, we say we are going to clean our houses. Only if you have your will and only if you have the faith is okay, tomorrow I'm going to do this, and you give in your 100% efforts, you say okay, I'll put in a lot of efforts and my house will surely be clean tomorrow. You put in efforts, you have that hard work, you have the faith and belief in you that you can do this, only then you can see the results. For namesake, you take a brush and a broom and just you do it, house is also not going to be clean, you are also frustrated, you waste a lot of time, right? See, this is what is the meaning of menial jobs. That is, even something small we do, we need to have that faith. Tomorrow you're going to clean your house, today only we have that hope and faith, and we convince ourselves saying that no, I have to put in efforts. So the same thing is there, we must have that belief, and at the same time we must put in efforts. So Shraddha is very very important even in everyday jobs that we do. So further he says that this is what is very much needed, and this is the basis. So before you start with anything, always have faith in what you do, otherwise things will never happen. So once it so happened that further he tells Narada that company, satsangam is very very important, and Narada tells that you tell me some stories of the devotees of Lord Vishnu so that we can learn from them. Now rather than telling mere philosophy, if you tell through examples, it becomes easy, right? So at that time Sanat Kumara says, at the time of Pralaya, once it so happened that when all the world was under water, Lord Vishnu was sleeping on a banyan leaf, and this scene was seen by Markandeya. He was a great devotee of Lord Vishnu, and at that time what happened is, the sages, all of them, they ask that what happened to Markandeya, how did he escape, because the Lord is sleeping on a banyan leaf but he will be submerged in water, right? So at that time he tells the story of Markandeya. So the story of Markandeya comes in the Narada Purana. So once there was a sage and his name was Mrikandu. He had observed a very severe penance at Shaligrama. It's a pilgrimage place, and Indra was afraid, as usual. If someone was doing a lot of tapasya, gaining a lot of powers, he will be afraid because his position is in danger. So Indra reached Vishnu, and he tells that Mrikandu is going to become very powerful because of his tapasya. Lord Vishnu appeared there, and he was so radiant. Now Mrikandu had become very bright. You can say you can see Tejas, right? So because of his tapasya, so Lord Vishnu came there, and Lord Vishnu also became very bright because he is the Lord of the three worlds. So now the gods were little satisfied. Okay, there is someone greater than Mrikandu also, so now we are satisfied. So now the Lord says that Lord Vishnu, he tells, I have gone and met Mrikandu. He tells all the other gods and Indra, like, you don't worry. Mrikandu is actually a very good man, and he is not going to harm you in any way. And in case he harms you also, I'm always there to protect all of you. He is just doing tapasya for his own well-being. That's it. And saying this, all the gods are assured. Indra also goes back. Now Lord Vishnu comes in front of Mrikandu, and he says that what you want, I'm very happy with your penance and so on. And he tells you, ask me a boon. Mrikandu says that I just want your sign. That's it. I just wanted to see your sight. That's it. Nothing more. And he said that I've got moksha just by seeing you in front of me. I'm very, very happy. Still, the Lord says that you tell me something, because if I come in front of you, I have to also bless you with something. So, though you say you don't want anything, I will be born as your son, and I will live a very long life. So, he granted this boon, and the Lord went away. Now, further, what happened is, the sage Mrikandu, he got married, and he got a very good virtuous wife also. And after 10 months after their marriage, his wife, she gave birth to an extremely beautiful child. And in fact, it was the Lord himself who had been born, so he was also very radiant and bright as a Lord. And Mrikandu, he carried out all the necessary rituals, everything that is done after the birth of the baby. And in the 5th year, the thread ceremony of the boy was done. He learned the Vedas and so on. His education was completed, and he was Markandeya. And after finishing his education, Sage Markandeya, he also, like his father, he also did a lot of penance to please Lord Vishnu. So Lord Vishnu at that time, he blessed Markandeya and told that you can create something called the Purana Samhita. It is a Samhita text dealing with the Puranas. And that is the reason why Markandeya is also known as Narayana. Another name for Markandeya is Narayana. And Markandeya, why he survived Pralaya was because of this name Narayana. Narayana meaning one who lives on water. So that is the reason why Markandeya could survive the Pralaya, the deluge. And even though the Lord was sleeping, Markandeya, he kept floating on that leaf. So on the banyan leaf, just as he saw the Lord, he was also floating like that on a leaf only. And Markandeya still, though there was a lot of storm-like conditions, he still stayed on that leaf. And slowly the Lord, Pralaya times reduced, the Lord woke up from his yoga nidra. Again the process of creation started, and Markandeya was a witness to all this. He saw all the water recede away, new creation taking place, and he began to pray to the Lord. And this is again a Vishnu Stotram that is created by Markandeya Krita Vishnu Stotram. So the different stotras that we have in the Puranas, out of this here is a stuti for Lord Vishnu. So he prays to the Lord and so on. And further he says that Markandeya questions the Lord now, and he says, you tell me something about the true devotees of the Lord, what they do and so on, so that I can also do the same thing. So the Lord says that those who do not harm others, with maybe physically or with their words, minds, actions and so on, they will always be very good. They are my greatest of devotees. Those are impartial, they have no partiality at all, they will be virtuous. Those who protect human beings, cows, priests, vegetation, and they are always engaged in, you can say, good talks, or maybe not while away their time in gossips, or maybe talking ill about others and so on. So they talk about the virtues of the Lord or spend their time in good things. Such devotees are dear to me. Then those who worship the garden of Tulsi. That's the reason we have a Tulsi plant in our houses, or if you go to villages and all, you have a Tulsi vanam that we see. And those who offer Tulsi Patram, those who are beloved to Lord Shiva, they will always put Tripunda, that is Vibhuti, on their foreheads, they will worship him. So all such people who do, such devotees who do all these things, they are very much dear to me. Those who always donate water, cereals, cows, and also Kanyadanam. Kanyadanam, those who are blessed with daughters. So Kanyadanam is a very, very important, you can say very auspicious. In fact, when people pray for a son, it is, though son is there, putraha is only for doing your karma, but daughters are born to, wherein you get a punya of the putra is for doing your karma, and if putra is not there, putri can also do that. So if the son is not there, the daughter can do that. But putri, when the daughter is born, this significance is given in the Narada Purana. You have the punya of Kanyadanam in this birth itself. So when people cry for a son to be born, though a son is born, if you don't have a daughter, in fact you're not that blessed, it seems, and you have lost the punya of Kanyadanam. So therefore, if daughters are born to you, Kanyadanam, so though people consider that to be a burden, it is not at all a burden, that you are included in the list of punya, because Kanyadanam is a type of punya that is there. It follows in that, it falls in this category. The Lord himself says this to Markandeya. So these are all signs of a true devotee, and he tells that all these characteristics, if you have these practices, if you do, you will attain moksha. And saying all this, Vishnu disappears. Markandeya follows all this, and he too attained Vaikuntha. So this is the story of Markandeya. Further, now Narada was very happy. Next he says that you tell me about a place of pilgrimage which is holier than all pilgrimage places. Sanat Kumara further continues. He says the meeting point of Ganga and Yamuna, Triveni Sangama, that is the holier than any other place of pilgrimage. Ganga, it has risen from the feet of Lord Vishnu, from the toe of Lord Vishnu. Yamuna is a daughter of Surya, and that's why you have Ganga Stotram, Yamuna Stotram, Narmada Stotram composed by Shankaracharya. And the place where Ganga and Yamuna merge, that is famous as Prayaga in the world, Allahabad, Prayag. And it is the same place where once Brahma had also done a yajna in order to pray to Lord Vishnu, and a lot of other sages have also followed Brahma. They have done different kind of yagas there. And on Prayaga Bhumi, on the banks of Prayaga, those who recite the names of Ganga, there they attain salvation. So Ganga Stotram, those who know, or even the Ganga Arti, why it is done Ganga Arti, we find that it is, people do it, right, for worship. You go to any place where the Ganga Arti is done, it's very, very auspicious. If you can even witness the Ganga Arti that is there, though we feel that people today, we look at that as a tourist spot or like a tourist attraction, right? It's very beautiful to look at and so on. All that is fine, but it is actually very, very auspicious. Or even if you sit on the banks of the Ganga, though you don't witness the Arti, you sit and chant the names of Ganga Devi, Ganga Mata and so on. It's very, very auspicious. And further, even the sand that is there on the banks of Ganga, you can apply that on forehead like bhasma. So the sand on the Ganga bank appears to be like bhasma, and it is as if you have, just as Lord Shiva has a crescent moon over his head, it is equal to that, it seems. And one who remembers Ganga has the benefit of performing all the rituals that we do in different pilgrimage places. Then Varanasi also has got equal importance like Prayaga. Ganga is the mother of the entire world, and mere touch of her waters also, just as the touch, if you remember the story of Sagara, ancestor of Rama, the 60,000 sons of Sagara, they were all, just by the mere touch, the flow of Ganga, all of them got moksha. So therefore, just imagine about us when we take a dip or when we drink her water and so on, how auspicious she would be. So today when we pollute her, we have to always think so many times. So we cannot describe the greatness of Ganga at all. It's just beyond description. Further, another story of a king starts in. There was a king, Sanat Kumara continues, there was a king called Bahu in the dynasty of Surya. In the Surya Vamsha, there was, that is in Rama's Vamsha, there was a king called Bahu. And he was very religious in nature, and he looked like he took care of all his subjects just like his own son. But once it so happened that just as things, sometimes when everything is going about good, something happens, right? Destiny plays some game. So like that, what happened is, in the mind of this king Bahu, ego or envy, jealousy, such things happened. Then he was attracted towards you can say sensual pleasures, women or money. Then he felt that he was only great, there was no one greater than him and so on. So therefore, now Sanat Kumara tells here, he makes a statement here, he says that in first chapter 1.6 this comes, wherein an unconscious mind is the cause of destruction. This line has been told, meaning one whose mind is not aware of what now. Say for example, if I'm talking about Puranas, somewhere my mind is running thinking about something or so, then it's of no use, right? I'm not conscious about what I'm speaking. So that is the greatest cause of destruction. So this is what happened with this Bahu also. And so everyone, what happened is, now all of them, they saw, even his own wife as well as subjects, they all got to know that this Bahu, this person is totally changed. He's just involved. He himself is not conscious what he's doing. So they attacked this kingdom and they defeated him. A long battle took place. The neighboring kings defeated him. King Bahu, he left his kingdom and he began to wander about here and there with his queens. Last he came to stay beside a big lake, and it is said that even the subjects to whom he used to care just like his own son, they also started running away from him. So such, you can say, this is how someone's life changes, or this is how his life had been transformed. And it was almost death. Now the king realized that, oh, I went on the wrong path and so on, and it became like almost it was like death for him. And it is said that he was thinking about this same thing. He was feeling very bad, and King Bahu, he met his death. He died in the presence of sage Aurva. And at that time, his youngest queen, he had many queens, his youngest queen, she was expecting a child. And after her husband's death, she decided to commit sati, but at that time the sage Aurva prevented her, saying that don't do this, because a son is going to be born to you and your son will enjoy more popularity than his father had. So King Bahu was also actually a good king, but because of a few deeds he had to die this way. But your king will be more popular, and nothing is more wretched than killing an unborn baby. So in the Narada Purana, Narada Purana is against abortion. Or why today let's not say against, but why you can say, when we go for abortion, or sometimes even knowing the gender of the child, we try to kill, right? If it's a girl child, boy child, and so on. Maybe today's times it is reduced, but why that should not be done? It is very, very wrong to kill someone. It's almost equal to killing a person. It's just that we don't see the person in front of our eyes, but a creation has already started, so it is very, very wrong. So thus he convinces sage Aurva, he convinces all the queens, and he guided the queens that let all the rituals of your husband take place, and you further continue leading your life. So that's how the queens, they lived in the hermitage of sage Aurva only. There were two queens, and the elder queen and the younger queen. And now both the queens, they were living in the hermitage of sage Aurva. And now it so happened that the elder queen, again it was destiny for her, she started developing evil feelings for the younger queen, hatred, jealousy, and so on, because a child was being born to the younger queen and the elder queen was not yet blessed with a child. So what she did is, she gave some poison to the younger queen to consume, but the poison did not affect the queen. And after 3 months, the younger queen, she gave birth to a son. Sage Aurva did the necessary rituals and everything, and he named him as Sagara, because he was born of poison. So Sagara, he named him. And Sagara, he grew in Aurva's hermitage, and the sage trained him in different things. And once it so happened that this boy Sagara, he asked his mother about his father. And the mother told him all the stories of King Bahu, her husband. And Sagara took an oath, and he told that I'm going to destroy everyone who had caused trouble to my father. And Sagara, at once he set out on his mission, and he halted at the hermitage of sage Vasishta. Sagara narrated everything to Vasishta. Vasishta presented him with a lot of divine weapons and blessed him with a boon, saying that whatever you have decided, you will attain victory. He got a lot of weapons, he got the blessings of sage Aurva, his mother, and so on, and he defeated all the powerful enemies, all those neighboring kings who had attacked this kingdom. He defeated all of them, and he started ruling over the entire earth. Now all those defeated kings, they took shelter in the hermitage of sage Vasishta. And Sagara, at once he learned about this, he went to the hermitage of Vasishta, and he asked Vasishta, and why are you guarding all these people? I'm not going to spare their lives at all. Vasishta said that you are great, and I know you are great, your powers are also great, you can kill all of them, and now you listen to me. So what I have done this, now what Vasishta had done is, he had actually shaved the head of all those kings. So basically they had lost their royal power, they were no longer kings. So Vasishta said that you don't have to actually kill them, because already they have lost a lot of respect, their physical appearance, everything. So therefore there is no use in, you're not going to get anything after killing their physical body. Mentally and you can say everything they have lost, so there is no matter at all. So you can proceed and doing something else. So Sagara was also cooled down. Now Sagara, he had two wives, Keshini and Sumati. They were daughters of the king of Vidarbha called Kashyapa. All this is history. Now sage Aurva, he heard about Sagara's coronation and he visited his palace, and he was also very happy because his disciple was getting married. And once it so happened that both the queens, that is the two queens of Sagara, Keshini and Sumati, what they did is they went to the sage Aurva, and they told that we want to be blessed with sons, so can you tell us something? So the sage Aurva said that one of you will receive one son. That's how the Surya Vamsha will move on further. The other will have 60,000 sons, but they will be quite dangerous. So the sage also advised that you can also ask any boon. So Keshini gave birth to one son, Asamanjas. Anyone knows about Asamanjas? Who is Asamanjas? Asamanjasa. No one knows?
Bhagavatam.
Yes,
Yeah.
correct. But Asamanjasa, was he good or was he evil?
He was evil, no?
Evil, correct. So Asamanjasa, the story comes even in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the only king of Raghuvamsham who was evil, or Surya Vamsha in the dynasty of Rama, the only person who was evil. And Asamanjas, he was evil to such an extent that he used to throw people in wells, and he grew to be a very evil man. And the other king, so Keshini gave birth to this one son, Sumati gave birth to 60,000 sons who were very obedient, but they also saw their elder brother Asamanjas, they too began to behave this way. And Asamanjas, he had one son. So though he was evil, he was married, he had one son, Amshuman. Amshuman is a grandson of Sagara. And 60,000 of sons of Sagara, now what they did is, looking at Asamanjas, they also started to trouble all the three worlds. At that time, Indra, he appealed to sage Kapila that you get rid of all of them. And Sagara, he organized an Ashwamedha Yaga. Indra kidnapped the horse and took it to the hermitage of Kapila. All the 60,000 princes, they reached there and they began to tease the horse and so on. At that time, immediately Kapila, he cursed them. All of them were burnt into ashes. Then the king Anshuman, King Sagara did not know about all this. He sent Anshuman, his grandson, in search of his 60,000 sons, and he got back the horse. Sage Kapila then assured Anshuman that his grandson Bhagiratha, Anshuman's grandson Bhagiratha, he will please Ganga, and that's how all his ancestors will be freed from whatever sins that they have done, their evil karma. So this is how the sage Ganga came. So this story mainly of Bhagiratha Sagara has been told to tell the story of the descent of Ganga. Now further you have the story of, so a few stories with regards to Ganga, then Varanasi, Kashi, Prayaga, not Kashi, Varanasi and Prayaga have been told in the initial part of Narada Purana. Then how the river Ganges, she originated from the feet of Lord Vishnu, that Narada finally asks Sanat Kumara. Sanat Kumara tells, during the times of creation, Kashyapa had two wives, Diti and Aditi. They were the daughters of Daksha Prajapati. Aditi, mother of gods, Diti, mother of demons, Daityas. And continuously they had fights. Now Hiranyakashipu, the demon, he was a son of Diti. His son Prahlada, he was a great devotee of Lord Vishnu. And further you have the Virochana, his son, and Bali, Mahabali, who was born in the same lineage. And Bali had two brothers, Kubanda and Kupakarna. And he also had a son called Bana. So even the further lineage of Bali has been mentioned. And Bali, he had conquered the entire earth, and once he attacked heaven. Indra was afraid, so a fierce battle took place. Bali, if you see, though he was good, he also belonged to the line of demons. So therefore he attacked the gods in heaven. And King Bali, he organized many Ashwamedha sacrifices. So the gods, they lost the heaven to the demons, and finally Bali, he got back heaven. He did many Ashwamedha sacrifice. And Aditi, she felt very bad. for her sons, the gods, and she did a lot of penance on the Himalayas. And further, it so happened that, pleased with the penance of Aditi, Lord Vishnu appeared before her and told, "You ask a boon." Aditi fell at the Lord's feet and she told that, "I feel very bad for my sons, the gods. Bali, the demon, is ruling over heaven. They are staying here and there. They should regain heaven," and so on. And but at that time, Aditi, what she asks is that none of the demons also should be killed, because ultimately they are also my stepsons, my sister's sons. So let them not be killed, but then the gods should get back. So pleased with this, now more than asking for the safety of her sons, Vishnu was pleased by the thought that she had, that you don't kill my stepsons. So pleased with this, that she did not have any discrimination between her sons and stepsons, Lord Vishnu assured Aditi that, "I will appear as your son and I will save the gods." Then the Lord Aditi gave birth to a son with a Chaturbhujam, 4 hands, conch, wheel, uh, chakra, Sudarshana chakra, shankha, a mace, and a lotus. Vamanavtara story is told in the Narada Purana, and at that time sage Kashyapa also was very happy. Then, while the thread ceremony was being done for Vamana, at that time King Bali, he organized another Ashwamedha Yajna, and in praise of his father, in the guidance of his teacher Shukracharya, the teacher of the Asuras. Further, Lord Vishnu himself had been, like, they were doing rituals for, he had been invoked in the yajna along with goddess Mahalakshmi. Vamana too went to this sacrifice, and all the sages, they realized Lord Vishnu had come in the form of Vamana. Even Shukracharya also got an idea why Vamana had come there, and he cautioned Bali. He told that whatever Vamana asks, you don't grant him any demand, and you be very strict and don't change your mind at all. He will try to trick you, so otherwise later you have to face severe consequences. But Bali was very liberal, and that was destiny for him. He did not pay attention to Shukracharya's advice. He welcomed Vamana, and as a Vamana Avatara story goes, 3 steps of land were asked. King Bali, he tells him initially, he tells, "I'll give you heavenly comforts, this luxuries and all that." But Vamana said, "No, I want only 3 steps of land." At last Bali agrees, and at this time what happens is Shukracharya steps in, and with the Kamandalu, Shukracharya, what he does was, inside the Kamandalu of Vamana that he was carrying, he goes inside, and in order to give a boon, what we do is, with the Kamandalu we put some water, right? Whenever it's a curse or a blessing, you see the sages, they put some water with their Kamandalu. So what he did is, Shukracharya, he reduced his form, and the snout, that is the opening of the Kamandalu, he went and he stuck there. But the Lord, what he did is, he took a stem. He knew this attempt of Shukracharya. He picked up a small thorn that was there nearby, a small sharp object, and he poked. Now if something, say for example, if many times what happens is, if something doesn't come out or is stuck, what we do is we also prick, right, with a pointed object, maybe a pin or so. Same thing he did, and that's how Shukracharya's one eye goes away. He pricked one eye of Shukracharya. Thereafter, finally, now nothing could be done. 3 steps of land. Vamana, he measured the entire earth and heaven in his 2 steps. So thus he assumed a very gigantic form, and that's how Lord Vishnu, while he was measuring the entire universe, it said that it broke into 2 parts, and like that many streams, everything sprang out, and like this, different streams, they fell on the mighty Himalayas. So that's how even today, if you go to the Himalayas, you can see different small streams and rivers that are flowing. That is because of Vamanavatara. And 3rd step, there was no place for the 3rd step to be kept. Bali presented his own head. Vamana kept his head on Bali's head, and that's how the 3 steps were given. Now, further, with this, the story of Bali and the Vamanavatara comes to an end. Next, Sanat Kumara tells about the story of Bhagiratha and Dharmaraja. Once Dharmaraja, he visited the kingdom of Sagara, and Dharmaraja, he praised Sagara a lot, "You're a great king," and so on. So Sagara then tells him that, "You tell me something about religion, non-religion, divine worlds, and so hell, heaven." So Dharmaraja, he said that greatest devotion that you can do is providing Brahmins or those who are well versed in the Vedas, priests, a means of sustenance. So maybe in forms of money, food, or whatever it is. So donating them, helping them, that is the greatest form of devotion. Inspiring others also to make a donation like this, that is very fruitful. Apart from this, doing public welfare activities, digging out reservoirs, and at the same time inspiring others also to do the same thing, this is also going to bear unending fruit. So like this, Dharmaraja, he tells about different religious or you can say good things, good actions that people can do. Further, those who build temples and stay. So in olden times, you see people, or there were many kings who were responsible for building temples as well as taking care of the administration part. So that was also very important. And with a temple, you build with wood, then with bricks, then precious stones. So like that, the level of virtue keeps increasing. So if you build a temple with wood, double; with bricks and stones, fourfold. The virtues get, the punya gets doubled fourfold. With precious stones, tenfold. Then with copper and gold, 100 folds. Gold temple, crore folds. So like that, just as we keep on increasing, that's how the punya also increases. Then at that, more than building, those who preserve those temples and maybe rivers and so on, whatever you build in, 100 times more virtues than the builders. Then whoever has built it originally, just building and going away is not enough. Maintenance is also equally important. And further, a rich person also who donates things, if he has something in excess, you can donate it for public welfare activities. And a poor person donating whatever little he has, both these things are considered to be equal. So a rich person donates or a poor person donates, doesn't matter. If you have the feeling of donation, whatever little you have, if you are ready to donate, that is considered to be equal. Further, those who build gardens, parks and so on, ancestors, that is ancestors are also blessed when we do such things. Maybe you grow a tulsi sapling, you do abhisheka on the Lord with milk, especially on occasions like Dwadashi, Purnima and so on. Then Panchamrita, using Panchamritam we do abhisheka on Ekadashi. So all this Dharmaraja is telling Sagara. Then the Lord, now here when we say the Lord's idol, it will be Lord Vishnu, or any Lord, but mainly for Lord Vishnu. Then the Lord's idol with coconut milk, sugarcane juice, water of flowers, that is usually we put rose water, right? Then all this, when we do abhisheka using all such things to the Lord, we are free from all kinds of sins. Then during eclipse or on auspicious dates, when we pray to the Lord and do abhisheka, yajnas and so on, it is very very auspicious. Then doing worshipping Lord Shiva and Vishnu's idols with coconut milk, ghee, honey, sesame oil on auspicious dates like Pradosha, Ekadashi and so on, it is said that we also get the appearance of those gods. It is as though we cannot see it with our eyes, they are very much present there, it seems. Further, flowers also are offered, like lotus flower and dhatura. For Lord Shiva, we say there's a flower called dhatura. Then you have raisins that are offered, dry fruits, lamp, water, you light a lamp, water, cereals, all this is done. So using all this whenever we worship the Lord, it seems to be very very auspicious. Further, we have the story of Dharmaraja still continues talking about hell, different fast, religion, different practices that are to be done. It is then you finally have the descent of Ganga and the salvation of Sagara's sons, how they are all how their ashes are washed away, they get attain heaven, they get moksha. So today time is up, we will stop at this, otherwise the next topic will take some time. So we'll stop here, we'll continue tomorrow. ॐ पठामि संस्कृतं नित्यं वदामि संस्कृतं सदा ध्यायामि संस्कृतं सम्यक् वन्दे संस्कृतमातरं संस्कृतस्य प्रसाराय नैजं सर्वं ददाम्यहं संस्कृतस्य सदा भक्तो वन्दे संस्कृतमातरं संस्कृतस्य कृते जीवन् संस्कृतस्य कृते यजन् आत्मानमाहुतं मन्ये वन्दे संस्कृतमातरं वन्दे संस्कृतमातरं Vande Sanskritamataram. Okay, so we had started with Narada Purana yesterday, and the topic was about Ganga. So now one more story with regards to Ganga, the salvation of a person called Saudasa. So once it so happened that Narada, he continues to ask his brother Sanat Kumara, wherein there was an incident wherein sage Vasishta, he had cursed a person called Saudasa, and why he was cursed and how his curse was recovered by the Ganges water. So this is the story. So Sanat Kumara said that Saudas, he was actually a very virtuous, a very good king. He ruled over all his subjects, but he was very fond of hunting. So in those times, obviously, kings, their source of entertainment was hunting. So that's how they used to while away their time. So he went hunting, and every day he used to hunt continuously the whole day. And one fine day he was doing the same thing. In the evening, he reached the bank of river Godavari, and he decided to pass the night there, saying that it has already turned late evening, so I will stay here. And next morning also he continued with his hunting. And at that time he sees a deer there and he tries to chase it. And while he was chasing the deer, he reaches the, you can say, the deeper, that is the middle part of the forest, and then he saw a pair of tigers who were actually a female tiger and a male tiger. They were spending time together, and at that time what happened was he was an expert archer. So what he did was he put an arrow and he killed the female tiger, the tigress, in just one shot. And as soon as the tigress was dying, she actually assumed the form of a female demon, it seems. And death of the partner, that is the other tiger that was there, this angered the male tiger a lot, and he decided to take revenge for this. And now, killing a tiger for the king, it was actually a very great thing, but then at the same time he was afraid now. So what he did was, he returned back to the kingdom, and at that time they finally decided that I will give up on hunting completely, because this time somehow I was escaped by this tiger and the monster and so on. So basically the female tiger was a monster originally, a female demon, and she had taken the form of a tiger. So King Saudas, he returned back to his kingdom, and consulting all his ministers, they also advised him, you give up hunting now, and he took a decision that I will give up hunting forever. Later, what happened was, Saudas, this king, he organized an Ashwamedha sacrifice under the guidance of sage Vasishta. And once this sacrifice was done, Vasishta, he went to take a bath and so on. So usually rishis and yogis, they have practices of maybe before having a meal, after having a meal, they take a bath, do some ablutions and so on. So there, what happened was, Vasishta had gone to take bath, and at this time, the monster, that is a female tiger who was there, she came and she assumed the disguise of Vasishta there. And the king felt that Vasishta himself had come, and there, in the guise of Vasishta, that monster, she expressed her desire to eat meat that is there. Now, what happened was, the monster, what it did, now everyone was shocked. Vasishta is asking to eat meat. Now the sage will not ask something like this. So before anyone could react, what this monster does is, it takes the disguise of a cook and it cooked human flesh and it served it in bowls, it seems. And now when the original sage Vasishta returned, Saudas did not know what it was, and he offered this bowls full of human flesh that was there, human meat. And for a while Vasishta thought about this, like what has happened, and he was shocked to see this. And later he understood everything, whatever had happened, and he cursed the king that you will also, because you have served me human flesh, you will become a man-eating demon that is there. Now the king said that no, I did not do anything, you yourself, you expressed your desire to eat meat and so on, because he did not know that the Vasishta had the demon had come in the form of Vasishta. So now Vasishta learned that king has not done this purposely, someone has tricked him. So king himself, king got very angry, but then Vasishta was not ready to listen to all this. So the king got very angry and he got ready. He said, no, this sage is doing, he only asked for meat and so on, and now he's only getting angry, he's cursing me. So he himself got ready to curse the sage now. So, but his wife Madayanti, the king's wife was Madayanti, she stopped him, and then what happened was, sage Vasishta, he consoled him and said that cool down. What happened is, you are facing a lot of problems. You killed the tiger, you killed the demon and so on. Now again you are facing different curse, you are getting angry, and it so happened that when the king was about to curse Vasishta, but luckily his queen came and stopped him, otherwise one more sin he would have incurred. So what, he had taken water in his palm already to that is to give the curse, but what he did was, he dropped the water down on his feet only. So therefore, because of the powers, the mantras that he had chanted, his feet actually started burning. That's how the king Saudas, he came to be known as Kalmashapada or Kalmashapada. That was another meaning, that is burning feet. Now what happened was his feet started burning. So the entire body, it turned out to be black, and since then entire body turned out to be black. He was roaming about in the forest now, like as of a wild animal or so, and whatever he found there, animals, birds, human beings, he used to eat all that, because Vasishtha had cursed him, you're going to become a man-eating demon. And like this, he used to go about here and there and so on. Now the he went and attacked some sages also, and that's how there was a sage and his wife who were spending time together. Immediately this king, he caught hold of a sage and tried to attack him. At that time, the sage's wife, she cursed him, saying that if you try to go near a woman and try to get into some physical relationship with her, you will always remain a monster and immediately you will die. So this, he got very angry, and his habit was, someone curses him, he will curse him back. You will also become a devil. This is what the king cursed back the sage's wife, and the sage's wife also turned out to be a devil. That's how both of them, they went out to the forest and so on. So you can see the number of demons and monsters was increasing in the forest. Further, like this, he meets lots of demons. He was going about in the forest, devouring animals, this, that, everything. And finally, what it so happened that there a Brahmin came there who had carried. He was coming from Kalinga. Kalinga was a great kingdom, a very prosperous, rich kingdom in those times in Orissa, today's state of Orissa. And he was carrying the holy water of the Ganges. And there were many other monsters who had such curses in the forest. They requested this Brahmin to sprinkle some water over all of them, so that they will all be free, and all of their worries started reducing. And that's when all of them got back their divine appearance, it seems. But the Saudas, this king had committed so many crimes. He was cursing people, he himself got cursed, that even though the few drops of Ganges water was sprinkled on him, still he remained unchanged. He could not get back his original form. And at that time, what came was Saraswati, goddess Saraswati. She comes there, and in an invisible form, she tells the king that you chant the names of the Lord. So thus then he came to Varanasi, where he continuously recited the Lord's name. He took bath in the holy Ganges every day, and thus finally he overcame the curse, all the different kinds of curse that were given to him. Once again, sage Vasishtha came there, coronated him as a king, and then finally Saudas became a divine king, like he was, a virtuous king like he was before, and attained the supreme abode of Lord Vishnu. So this is how is the story. Of course, if you see, the story is quite boring. Some monster comes, curse, this and that. But then the point is how a person can change, and something happens in life changes altogether. And mainly these stories are included in the Narada Purana to tell the holiness of the river Ganga. So through the Ganga water, how pure it is, to mainly narrate that these stories are told. Further, the description, Dharmaraja and Bhagirath, we were seeing the descriptions between them, and we have to see the different kinds of hell now. So yesterday, whatever different offerings have to made to Lord Vishnu and Lord Shiva, we saw that flowers, raisins, water, cereals, and so on. And in those times, people used to also donate land, cows, even horses, the Shaligrama, Shivalinga, and so on. So all this was also considered to be, you can say, good means of donation. And further, even blowing the conch. Now most of us, you see in temples or so, in our houses also, sometimes we blow the conch, right? That is considered to be very auspicious for Lord Vishnu and the remembrance of the Lord's name and so on. So these are all different things that are done as a part of worshipping the Lord. Further, Dharmaraja says that I'm going to tell you now more something about religion and so on. So what happens is, if a person, now all these things, please note that why do we follow all this is, there are some reasons. Now in our everyday life also, maybe there's a death in the family or something like that happens, we follow certain rules, right? So where are those rules and everything, where is it mentioned? It is mentioned in such Puranas also. There are many other texts, but some reference is there in the Puranas. So it is said that if a person is he himself touches or gets touched by some impure object, say for example you can say some meat or something like that, we come across things MEAT, meat, or any other thing, something impure, it is said that fast should be observed for 3 days 6 nights and so on. We must bathe thrice a day, and like this certain things are followed, or mainly in fact while you have food also, whenever you are having food, it is said that if you have to go and use the washroom in between, you must immediately give up on food and you must just consume water. So this is what is told. So a very practical reason. Now it can happen depending on everyone, when we need to use the washroom it's not in our hands, but still it is said that in between, if you have to get up in between your meals and maybe use the washroom or so, you should not consume the food at all, whichever you're if you're consuming. In between, if you're going, you have to just drink water and that's it for the day. Now for this, you forget about the religious aspect. A scientific reason also here you can consider, if you have to go to the washroom in between. Now there are medical conditions also, that's a different thing, but that itself shows that we have already eaten our fill also, so therefore the body cannot accept more, and if you're still adding to your body, it can lead to certain problems. Therefore you can just end your meal by drinking little water. So like this, some references have been told here. Further, different again the kinds of hell have been told, we have already seen in other Puranas, so let's not go deep into this. Different kinds of animal, the torture that is given for different kinds of punishment, all that has further Dharmaraja tells all this to Bhagiratha. Further, Sanat Kumara says that thus Dharmaraja preached a lot to Sagara and then he disappeared from sight, and it was due to the severe penance of King Bhagiratha, that's how finally the Ganges river descended on the earth, because of a lot of papa that was being done, and thus the 60,000 sons of Sagara also, they were given moksha. Further, Narada asks the question, right? What did Bhagiratha do on the Himalayas? How did he finally convince Ganga to come down to earth? So then Sanat Kumara said that Bhagiratha, he went to the Himalayas and he saw dense forest there, a lot of herds of deer and elephants who were there. And there were a lot of hermitages, a lot of recitation of Vedas, a very pure environment. And he met the sage Brigu there. And Bhagiratha approached the sage Brigu, he greeted him. And Bhagiratha then tells the sage that you teach me some knowledge that is there. And so on, I've come to this place, I want to learn a lot, and so Brigu says that I know that you have come here with the motive of actually giving moksha to your ancestors. So now I describe about the different ways that you can do in order to please the Lord Sri Hari, and therefore you be non-violent, you speak the truth, always be virtuous, and so on. Seek good company. If you do these things, you will attain, your ancestors will also attain moksha, you will also be always happy. And Brigu at this point, he tells two mantras to Bhagiratha to chant, that is Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Namaha and Om Namo Vasudevaya. These are the two mantras. I repeat, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Namaha and Om Namo Vasudevaya. These two mantras Brigu tells Bhagiratha to chant, and he tells that if you chant this, you will surely attain peace of mind. So further, a lot of questions Bhagiratha asks, what is truth, what is peace, how should I worship Vishnu, and so on. So Bhagiratha tells about all that in detail. Further, Bhagiratha, he starts doing penance. Now he learnt everything from the sage, how I should do penance and so on. He starts doing that. For about 60,000 years, he does the penance. He in a place called Nandeshwara in the Himalayas. Nandeshwara in the Himalayas. And all the gods appeared before Vishnu, looking at the penance of Bhagiratha. All of them, they come in front of Vishnu. Lord Vishnu, he listened to the motive of the gods, and he told them that so all the gods mainly had come to Vishnu to tell that Bhagiratha is doing a lot of tapasya, you should go and greet him, you should go and give him darshana, and so on. So Bhagiratha, he felt very happy. Finally the Lord comes in front of him. Bhagiratha is very happy, and Lord Vishnu says at the time, all your desires will be fulfilled, your ancestors will also get moksha, but now what you do is you go and pray to Lord Shiva, and he will surely bless you more. So Bhagiratha, he further does a lot more penance in order to please Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva also appears in front of him, and then Lord Shiva blesses him that I will hand over the Ganges to you now, so that it can flow down to earth and ultimately to Patala. All the ashes will be washed off, and that's how Bhagiratha, wherever Bhagiratha walked, Ganges kept following her. Thus, the Ganges it reached Ganga Sagar at the hermitage of sage Kapila, where all the ashes of Bhagirath's ancestors were lying. And then, as soon as the waters of the Ganges touched the ashes, Bhagirath's ancestors they got freed from Yama, that is from Yamaloka, and they all ascended to Swarga. So, thus the Ganges it also got the name of Bhagirathi or Bhagirathi as we say. So, this is the story of how Ganga was brought down to earth. At the same time, Bhagiratha's ancestors they also got freed from hell and they all went to heaven. Okay. Now next is the significance of the Dwadashi fast that is there. Now mainly Narada Purana talks about different fast and rituals that we observe. So the sages what they say is sages continue they ask Suta that now all the sages have assembled in Naimisharanya. They tell us, you tell us, now you have told us the tale of the sacred Ganges. Now further what Narada asks Sanat Kumara, you tell us. So further Narada he asks Sanat Kumara that you tell me the different stories and rituals, the fasts that I should do in order to please Lord Shri Hari and Lord Vishnu. So further Sanat Kumara he says that he asks Narada, firstly he tells that you are blessed because at least this question came to your mind that you are asking me what are the different rituals and the fast that I should observe in order to please Lord Vishnu. So this is something which it is very rare that people ask. You have at least asked me this question. So from here starts the different rituals and the fast. So in our lives also, whatever we follow, all this has got a reference in the Narada Purana. So Narada asks this question, Sanat Kumara answers. He says that on the 12th day, now those who want you can note all this or maybe listen to the audio also later. On the 12th day of the Shukla Paksha in the month of Margashirsha, that is the Dwadashi in the month of Margashirsha, Shukla Paksha is a very very auspicious day to offer worship or to do anything in praise of Lord Vishnu. And on this day it seems that even the clothes that we wear should be white or yellow, that is it should be very much pleasing to Lord Vishnu. And the mantra that has to be chanted is Keshavaya Namastubhyam, that is the mantra that has to be chanted on the Dwadashi of the Margashirsha month, that is a Margani month in the Shukla Paksha, Keshavaya Namastubhyam. And then those who do some sacrifices also, now most of us we don't do sacrifices, homas and all, we can just chant mantras, right? So but ghee and sesame seeds, this sacrifice is done in the sacred fire, this is put, then night time or evening time different devotional songs are sung. If you have the Shaligrama at home or maybe an idol of Vishnu, you keep that, you offer flowers and so on. And like Shivaratri, on this day we must stay awake and sing the different devotional songs, prayers, chants and so on. Then the idol of Lord Vishnu, it is mentioned that with 5 liters of milk Abhisheka should be done. So much of accurate information has been mentioned here. With 5 liters of milk Abhisheka should be done to Lord Vishnu. Similarly, both the goddess Lakshmi and Narayana both should be worshipped with a lot of Nevidyam and so on 3 times, that is in the morning, afternoon and evening. So on this Vadashi day in the Margashirsha month, Shukla Paksha, Nevidyam should be offered 3 times in a day to both Lakshmi Narayana, and again next morning also this should be repeated, that is on Trayodashi also it should be repeated. And then different sweets and so on made of milk, ghee, coconut, we should make it for ourselves, we should for our family members, give it to different priests and so on if you call someone, and maybe generally to a Brahmin also. And then the fast should be broken. So fast should be observed actually on this day, and then the Nevidyam everything can be consumed, and that's how the fast should be broken. Now this same thing is also done in the month of Paush that we say. That is, you can say the next month that comes in the month of January. After Margashirsha, next month is Paush. So in that month also on the Dwadashi day this is done, wherein the fast is observed, and then Lord Vishnu's idol, you chant the Vishnu Sahasranama and so on, and then you do Abhisheka to the idol of Lord Vishnu. Now you see Shivalinga most of us have, but then if you don't have a Vigraha of Lord Vishnu, how can we do Abhisheka then? So that is fine, maybe you can just keep milk as Nevidyam. If you don't have a Vigraha, if you cannot do Abhisheka, you can just keep milk as Nevidyam. Further, in the Paush month, when we do worship to the Lord on Dwadashi, the mantra to be chanted is Namo Narayana. So there first was Keshavaya Namastubhyam in the Margashirsha month. In the Paush month, the mantra is Namo Narayana. And in this worship also, what is done is lot of nightful you have to be awake, lot of prayers are chanted. Then donation is being given, like pulses, ghee, cereals, all this donation can be given, rice. Then dakshina in the form of money also should be given. Similarly, in the month of Magha, this month also, Magha is in the month of February. So you see everything is in order. December, January, February also you on the Dwadashi day. So you see, just as every Ekadashi has got some significance, even the Dwadashi of most of the months have got some other significance. So day long on the Dwadashi in the month of February, the Magha month, we observe fast and worship. And this time it is said that 5 kilos of sesame seeds, that is till seeds, that is donated to Brahmins. Then in the month of Falgun, that is the next month, in the month of March roughly, again we do Abhisheka with 5 liters of milk. Then it is said that again feeding of Brahmins, night long prayers and so on. And this time what is given is, the mantra to be chanted is Govindaya Namastubhyam. Now all these are different practices and methods that are told to be followed. The least that we can do is, we can at least chant the mantra and offer Naivedyam of any choice, right? So this is the least that we can do. Of course, it depends on everyone, your own personal choice, but we may not feel guilty that I am not able to do anything, or I was not at all aware of this, or maybe it's your complete personal choice if you want to follow or you don't want to follow. But at least the least is we can at least chant the mantra and offer Naivedyam of our own choice, right? So in the month of Falgun, we offer the mantra is Govindaya Namastubhyam, and here what we do is, the donation that is given here is unhusked rice. Now what is unhusked rice? It is very, I don't think you get it in the markets easily, wherein the husk of the rice, usually if you see, you have that winnowing train, villages also women do that, right? The dust and the husk is removed from the rice grains. Nowadays in the market we get the rice directly, but unhusked rice, it is raw rice fully without removing the husk, that is given in donation. Then in the month of Chaitra, roughly in the month of April, again with 5 liters of ghee, this time Vishnu's idol is done Abhisheka. Now all these 4 months, December, Jan, Feb, March, we were doing with milk. In the April it is done with 5 liters of ghee, and then 108 times the mantra is chanted Namostu Vishnave Tubhyam, Namostu Vishnave Tubhyam, and then 4 kilos of rice are donated to Brahmins. Now all this number estimates are also mentioned in the Narada Purana, that's why I am telling you. 4 kilos of rice they are given in donation. Next, in the month of Vaishakha, roughly in the month of May, again on the 12th, Dwadashi Shukla Paksha, that is the same date, only the month keeps changing. Again Abhisheka has to be done with milk, and then whenever we do some sacrifice, that is also mentioned with ghee also you do sacrifice. Usually none of us will do homa and so on, so that usually can be avoided. And the mantra here is Namaste Madhuhante, meaning the killer of Madhu. Namaste Madhuhante. This is a mantra to be chanted in the month of Vaishakha Dwadashi. Next, Jyeshta, roughly June. The month of Jyeshta, what we do is, here we have to offer kheer, that is there, rice, that is rice which has to be cooked in 4 liters of milk. So kheer, how we prepare, usually we prepare rice kheer, right? So rice that is cooked in 4 liters of milk, and the mantra is Namaste Namaha Trivikramaya. Namaha Trivikramaya. This is the mantra for the month of Jyeshta, and the prasada, the Naivedyam is kheer, that is rice to be cooked in 4 liters of milk. Okay, till here is everyone following? Yes?
Yes, Lashna.
Okay. Next is, one more thing that is done here is a very famous sweet dish that is prepared, Malpua. Malpua, I think in North India also it is quite famous. It is nothing but you have wheat flour that is made, I think, mixing with milk and sugar, and it is later fried in ghee. So this is a sweet meat that is prepared. All this, about 20 Malpuas, the number has been mentioned here, that is cooked and it is given in donation to a Brahmin. Next, in the month of Ashada, roughly the month of July, again with 4 liters of milk, Abhisheka is done to Vishnu's idol. Then It is directed to Vamanaya, and therefore the mantra is Namaste Vamanaya. This mantra is chanted. Further, the donation that is made is, you have cereals also that is mixed with coconut curd. Now cereal we cannot mix with coconut curd. What cereals you will mix, right? So basically it will be like a food item or so if you mix, but then with coconut and curd we cannot mix anything and make. And then mainly a donation of coconuts or curd, when you can consider like milk products. This is what is prepared. Next is in the month of Shravan, we bathe the Lord's idol with milk and honey, and this time the mantra is Sridharaya Namaha. Sridharaya Namostute. I think a few days back in the Narayanam class or somewhere I had told you, right? Sridharaya Namaha. This mantra is chanted on the Ashada Ekadashi. Anyone remembers? I think I had put on the group. I don't remember very well. So something like that. Sridharaya Namaha. This mantra is chanted on the Ashada Dwadashi, Ashada Ekadashi and Ashada Dwadashi. Yes. So that is the Namaha.
I remember it like that.
Yeah. Sridharaya Namostute. And further, here what is done is 4 liters of milk, clothes, and it is said that 2 golden earrings. Now gold all, how much we can donate? Now all this has been told in those times, how people used to donate and follow other things. But then this is what is the ritual. 2 golden earrings, 4 liters of milk and clothes are given in donation. Further, in the month of Bhadrapad, that is roughly after Shravan, the next month is Bhadrapad, wherein what we do is Rishikesha Namastubhyam. This is a mantra for the Dwadashi of Bhadrapada, and here we have a lot of cooked cereals that are mixed with honey and given, and here the donation is wheat along with gold is done. Besides, we also feed Brahmins. The mantra is Rishikesha Namastubhyam for the month of Bhadrapada. All this has to be chanted in the Dwadashi Shukla Paksha. Next, in the month of Ashwin, we have the Lord's idol again to be done Abhisheka with 5 liters of milk. Then the mantra is Namaste Padmanabhaya. Namaste Padmanabhaya. And this time it is said that 250 grams of honey is donated to a Brahmin. Then next month, in the month of Kartik, we have again the Lord's Abhisheka to be done with 4 liters of milk, curd or ghee, any one. And the mantra is Namo Damodaraya. Namo Damodaraya. And further, this worship, what we do is 5 types of something to be eaten, maybe sweet dish or anything. 5 types of edible things that can be eaten. So maybe you can prepare a small meal. You have a sweet dish, you have some snacks also, some chutney and something like that. So 5 things are prepared as Naivedyam, and that is given to someone, maybe Brahmin also. You can invite someone to your house, and some Dakshina also along. So thus it is said that one. So you see, Kartik is done. Next is Margashish. 12 months are done. So Sanat Kumara says that one who does this fast for 12 months of the year surely attains Vaikuntham. And if you cannot do for all the 12 months, and usually you have to observe fast also on this day. So at least for 1 or 2 months also, if you do, it is equally benefiting, it seems. Least I told you, we can do at least for 1 month, or whatever we can do, right? And then further it is said that, so basically what happens is, you have to start from Margashish and it should end in Margashish. That's how for one entire year you do this. And on this day again, the house also should be good. You should have a lot of sandalwood paste and so on. That is fragrant things, flowers, sandalwood paste, agarbatti and so on. So basically you can see the house also should be decorated just as we do whenever there is some festival that comes in. Then some people also decorate their the puja room area with flags, festoons and all that. So that also can be done. So like this, different kinds of worship have been told. This is one worship that has been told for all the 12 months, Dwadashi, that is there. Further, what you do is, towards the end, maybe 1 year you do this fast, what you do is, on the last day, that is again, you start from Margashish, you end on Margashish, what you do is, you some coins, that is silver coins, nowadays we get, right, for puja also we use Lakshmi coins or Vishnu coins, like this we do archana with coins and so on. All that should be placed. Then it is said that whenever we do this ritual, we must never look for, you can say, oh, so much we have to spend, or why should I put in so much of efforts. Not only for this ritual, for any ritual that we follow, If you are ready to do something, you have to do it fully. This is what has been mentioned here, especially why this has been mentioned with regards to this coins also. Some people will say, no, I don't want to do, I'll just chant the mantra and go about. That is fine. All the other Dwadashi, whatever we can do. But then whenever we are doing something, say for example, there is we see, right, nowadays people say, no, whatever, just do a shortcut or so. In this, I give you so and so amount, in this you finish off. You chant 1 or 2 mantras less, that is fine. That should not be done. And whenever, now say for 1 year you observe something sincerely, towards the end for 1 month when you are about to conclude, you must not say, no, I will not do this, I will not do that. There should be no shortcuts for at least the last month that is there. And then you invite a few people to your house. You do worship of both goddess Mahalakshmi, Lord Narayana together, and so on. Next is the fast. So with this Dwadashi fast gets over. Next is, there is a fast that has to be done for Lakshmi Narayana Vratam. There is a vrata called the Lakshmi Narayana Vrata. In this, Sanat Kumara, he says that this is an excellent fast which will destroy all kinds of sins. And this observing fast, this fast has to be observed on the full moon day, that is the Purnami day. And just as Dwadashi, this fast also begins from the month of Margashirsha, and it has to be followed continuously on every full moon day, that is on every Purnima, till the month of Kartik. On the Kartik Purnima, we close it with proper rituals. And for this, what happens is, so the next Vrata starts in. I just wanted to know, should I tell you about all these Vratas, or should we just go to the story part? Because Narada Purana mainly talks about lot of Vratas. I hope it is fine, right?
It's fine, Kashmir,
It's okay.
but ask others.
What about others? Others also you should tell. Is it okay?
It's good to know, Lakshmi ji.
It's good, right?
It's good
Yeah.
to know.
Yeah.
Although in this Kali Yuga it is difficult to follow all this, it's good to know
Correct.
what was written.
Correct.
And someday maybe somebody will practice.
Yeah, correct. So at least we must know about things. Correct. So at least to some extent, maybe now observing a fast or so, or maybe you can say giving something in donation, especially gold or so, it becomes difficult, right? But then, like I told you, whatever we can, that we can do, at least we must know that something like this has been existing. But still I asked her, sometimes people will say, no, yes, of course you can practice. Little you can do, that's what I said. Now maybe they themselves are told, right? For 1-2 months, Narada Purana himself, Sanat Kumara says, if you cannot do it for all the 12 months, 1 or 2 months you can do the fasting, that is also equally there. So it's just that there are different traditions, rules and rituals that have been told, but it's in our hands how much we do. So it's not that things are optional or so, or we decide, we make our own rules, but then it becomes very difficult. We have to always consider the current situation also, and there are so many other things which we consider. But then the least, whatever we can do, right? Maybe out of 12 months, maybe 1 or 2 months you give something in donation. So maybe you need not give donation maybe to a Brahmin also. Nowadays you call a Brahmin, you tell, I'll give you sesame seeds, I'll give you honey, I'll give you rice. He'll say, no, you don't give me anything, you give me money, I'll be happy, right? So then times have changed. You cannot give them sesame seeds, honey and all that. You can give them something, maybe instead of that you give them money. Or maybe 1 month what you do is, now these are all different options I'm telling what we can do. Maybe 1 month you say, okay, 1000 rupees or so. Every month I'll go to a nearby temple, give it to a Brahmin. Maybe 100 rupees every month, and maybe 1000 rupees I'll give 1 month for the year together. Or maybe there is a orphanage or so nearby, or maybe there is a nearby temple or a samajam that we have. Some function is about to take place like the Ram Navami and so on. So for Annadanam also, they are going to give food for Annadanam, whatever I can, let me give it in the form of money. But sometimes we have so many organizations also that tell that you don't give something in form of money, but we have like an orphanage or so, we have kids there, people there. So maybe you can buy and give something. So you tell them, okay, one day also I will sponsor food, I'll give you food grains, something like that. So this is all, it's not that things don't happen. So though in today's times things have changed and so on, still we have many options that are there. It's not that nothing works in, right? There are so many places wherein you get a chance to actually buy and give food, or there are so many temples also where Annadanam takes place. You go and speak to them, they tell, yes, you can give something, maybe rice we give. So it depends on us how much we can do. It's not that every time we have to go and give something, and it's not just donation again. Fasting also, now there, even for Ekadashi also, now it is said for Ekadashi also, all the Ekadashis we have to fast. How many of us do that? It becomes difficult, right? So maybe little fasting you don't consume rice on that day, or maybe you consume only fruits and milk. So we have different, like this, you see, things that are made rules, that are made easy. So the least that we can do, whatever we can follow. So maybe now, like chanting the mantras, or maybe preparing some nevidyam. Nevidyam, what we can prepare every time? How can I prepare sweets? Don't prepare sweets. You can keep a glass of milk. Milk is there every day. Cook rice, we cook. Cooked rice we can observe. Full meals we have dal or something. You observe that. You can keep that. Once in a month, obviously we'll have some other sweet. We can offer that. Or sweet also, when they say it's just rice that is boiled. So one time you prepare kheer, we observe. We can keep that. So it's not that everything you see, whenever you look at things like this, things are actually easy. But then it becomes, when we think about it, it seems to be very difficult. So at least the least that we can do is whatever is possible, it is feasible that you do that. Correct. If you fast on Ekadashi, you are advised to have correct. On the Dwadashi day, you observe the fast. So usually this Dwadashi, if you say, maybe for Dwadashi Vrata, usually if you say on the Dwadashi, you have to break the fast of Ekadashi. So on Dwadashi, you consume something, but you need not observe the fast on Dwadashi. You can do all the other rituals, the mantra that has been told for each of the months. You can chant that mantra and you can offer the Nevidyam, right? Or there are so many other stotras that we know in praise of Lord Vishnu and so on. Vishnu Sahasranama, we can chant that, right? So at least we must know about things, what exactly has been told. Out of that, how much ever is convenient, we can follow. Whatever you can do, you can do. So out of all the things that I give you so many examples, at least something we can do. It's not that nothing is impossible. Out of 10 things, 6-7 things we can surely do. Maybe like giving something in gold, or like I told you, to a Brahmin also, you tell them, I'll give you same seeds, this and that. The person will tell you, don't give me anything, you keep it for yourself, right? So then such things we cannot do. Instead of that, you can give the person in money also, and maybe to some other places like a temple or so, or maybe I gave you an example of an orphanage wherein they are ready to accept grains also. 1 month of the year you can go there and say this, maybe it's your own birthday, Janma Nakshatram or something like that. We go and give something in donation. Maybe a festival that's taken place. So on whatever we can, as per our convenience, we can do. So now let me tell you one thing, why a lot of importance has been given for these vratas. And so apart from the religious part, there is one more reason to this. Thing is, at least from our every, now you see, if you work somewhere, or maybe in our own society, you see there are a lot of social welfare activities. Yes, one is to develop discipline. Second is, there are a lot of social welfare activities, right? And you work in a an office also, you see in between they come with some activities. Now whatever you bring, some old clothes or whatever you have, you give it. Or maybe in schools also, you see school children are sometimes told, you have your old clothes or old stationery, something, you bring it, we will donate it. So why such things are told? There's no religious aspect also. But then something, when we tell that to give in donation or charity, it's just that you can say we give back to the society what we have. Maybe there are a few people who are not blessed with that, so whatever little I can, I will give it to them. So just to develop this feeling, so that anyways now something has turned out to be old or so, or maybe now I have, why not give little to someone? If maybe 5% or so, why not give it to someone, so that they will be helpful, they can also live a good life, right? Maybe for us, you give something like, somewhere it came, right, 250 grams of honey or so, or like that. If you decide, okay, 250 grams, or maybe half kg you consider, I give it once a month. Maybe for us it doesn't make a difference. With His grace we are all blessed. But then for someone, when you give, or maybe old clothes or stationery items, when you give it to a child who has never seen that, it makes a huge difference for the child. Whereas for us, you have 10 pens also, still we go and buy another pen. For us it becomes, it's very normal, right? Because when we have something, we don't value that. So basically these different vratas, at the same time fast, as it is said, at least one day of the month it's for cleansing our body and so on, some discipline that is there. Now stomach, we keep filling that continuously. It also has to show its reaction, right, one day. So one day you keep yourself, you eat light. So that is just to develop discipline. So therefore all these vratas and rituals, why so much in detail has been mentioned in the Puranas and other scriptures. Apart from the religious aspect, it is just to develop discipline, at the same time to develop this feeling of giving back to the society. And it is also an awareness for us to remember that we are blessed with something which there are others who don't have that. So at least little from whatever I have, till, and Again, you see, though all these numbers has been mentioned, this just to give an idea. Now, many of us, when we say, okay, you have to donate something, they'll have 10 questions. What I should donate, when I have to donate, how much, this, that. So instead of that, very clearly accurate information has been told. This you can do. So whoever wants, you can follow this as it is. But for whoever cannot, you have an option that how much ever you can give back. So it is basically to develop this feeling also that socially we are responsible, we have been blessed with something, so why not develop this feeling. And whenever something is associated with something religious, say for example you'll be freed from sins, or you do this as worship, we do that immediately, right? Whereas in generally someone tells, okay, today you observe a fast, why should I observe a fast, what will I get in return, and so on, we question, right? Then when some religious aspect is put into it to worship the Lord and so on, he will bless you, you will get something in return, blessings, this, that. At that time we do it immediately. So therefore this it has been included in the Puranas and so on, so that our worship is also done, the religious aspect is also covered, as well as the message is also conveyed, be it giving back to the society, gratitude, as at the same time taking care of our own bodies also. Okay, so next is the Lakshmi Narayana Vrata. It is to be done on every full moon day of the Margashirsha month, and this time the mantra to be chanted is Namo Narayanaya. This is the mantra wherein different white flowers are mainly offered on the day of Purnima, and in the evening time mainly is done after you see the moon. And next on that day what we do is evenings also you have singing of songs, then religious discussion, discourses and so on. So that's the reason you see in the month of Margashirsha itself you have a lot of people organizing a lot of programs, right? Maybe it can be singing programs, or maybe some dance programs, cultural programs, or lectures. Even today you go to some parts of India, you can see all this. So basically a lot of festivals coming in, at the same time we have this month is full of celebration. So that's the reason people do all this. And this ritual for the entire year, it is the same mantra, Namo Narayanaya is chanted for all the months, starting from Margashirsha till next year Kartik Purnima. Kartik full moon day, the same mantra is chanted, and then some prayers are chanted, and after the moon has risen, after seeing the full moon, white flowers, rice grains, water, cereals, cooked cereals, you prepare something from cereals. Now that is nothing but this is the reason why during Navratri festival most of us we prepare chundal, right? In South Indian tradition, what is actually chundal? The different cereals and pulses. This is what we offer for Naivedya. So now you have an answer, why do we prepare this? It has been mentioned in all our Puranas and scriptures to cook cereals and pulses. That's the reason we prepare those preparations and observe. Even when you have this, not only in South India, even if you go to North India or Central India, you see when you have the Satyanarayana Puja and so on, along with Puri you have that chana sabji, right? Why only chana is given there? Yes, chana is cereal and pulses. So such things are usually prepared. Chana or something with pulses and cereals, you prepare something that is considered to be very, very religious and auspicious. So it is something wherein and at the same time you see why it has been mentioned in our scriptures. There can be one more reason to this. It is also cost effective, and at the same time you don't have to think about which vegetable should I cook, what should I buy, there are so many people and so on. Things become easy, at the same time it is tasty also, right? So that is the reason. And it is also there is no one who will say that I don't like cereals and pulses. Maybe a particular one or two you might not like, but then usually with vegetables also it will be, no, I like this, I like that and so on. Then only certain vegetables we can use for prasada, naivedyam. But this cereals and pulses when we use, there is no question at all. They are healthy also, cost effective. At the same time it becomes easy. It is quite common, everyone can consume it. Even it doesn't take a lot of time to prepare. So you see our ancestors, every time we feel that something that we follow today, someone has come and one day they followed and we have been just blindly following that. In fact, all our ancestors were very smart and wise. So whatever they mention in our Puranas and whatever they have been following till date, maybe we are blindly following. When we call them blindly, they follow without knowing anything. In fact, they knew everything, we don't know anything. We just keep blindly following things. We just feel, I like it, it is tasty, I eat it. Why something has been mentioned in the Puranas? So many places I told you, right? Cereals, pulses. What is the reason? This is the reason. And that's the reason we see in most of our festivals you have a puja or so. That is only given as prasada. Why so? Now you have the reason. So therefore some whatever has been mentioned in the Puranas and our scriptures, if you see till date, is applicable. This is what the proof is in front of us. We are following that till date. Okay. Further is, so this is how for every Purnima it is called the Lakshmi Narayana Vrata. When you observe this Vrata, white flowers are mainly observed. And in the evening time, after you see the moon, prayers are chanted, you prepare some Nevidyam, you offer it, donations are made, and so on. Every month, you start from the month of Margashish, you have to conclude it on the Kartik Purnima day. Further, there is, what you do is, there is a fast which is observed on the Dashami, that is on the 10th day of the Shukla Paksha in the month of Kartika. What is that? It is in the morning you worship Lord Vishnu, Lord Sri Hari. After taking bath, you wear new clothes, and it is said that on that day you should sleep before the idol, before the Lord only you should sleep on that day. Next day again you should perform worship and everything. You should recite the Nandi Shraddha. Nandi Shraddha, that is done during, when is the Nandi Shraddha done? Anyone knows? Nandi Shraddham. Nobody knows? It is done using...
It is done before the Upanayana and also
marriage.
Marriage. Before marriage.
Yeah, so mainly the Shraddha is before any event that we do, before marriage mainly, and at the same time it is also very amongst the Shodasha Samskaras, some people have an habit of doing it before any, you can say, auspicious occasion, be it an Upanayana and so on, correct, before Upanayana, before, that's the reason we have the Nandi ceremony that is done. Even during marriages also the Nandi Shraddha is done. So basically it is a form of ritual or a puja that we do before any samskara in order to remember our ancestors. So the same thing as is done even when we start this puja. You have the Nandi Shraddha ritual, the mantras that are chanted on this day. When we do this Dashami, on the 10th day of the Kartik month, Shukla Paksha, this Vrata, and then you worship the sun god, moon god, also Garuda, the Vahana of Lord Vishnu. And it is said that white flowers, sandal paste, all this is offered to the Lord. And then the mantra that is to be chanted is Venateyaya Namaha. You can also chant it as Vainateyaya Namaha. So then this mantra is chanted. So you see on the Dashami you start the worship. On that day you sleep in front of the idol. Next day again you continue with your worship. And again it goes about, you worship the sun, moon, Garuda, Kamadhenu, and so on. So like this. So on the Ekadashi also you are doing the worship. Next day on the Dwadashi also you continue with the worship. And on this day what is done is, you see Dwajarohanam or Dwajastambam. In temples also they establish, right, Dwaja. So at your house also you can do this, and then the same Dwaja is gone and given to a nearby temple. So this Vrata mainly priests they do. Whenever in the nearby temple you have the Dwajastambam, Dwajarohanam ceremony, the priest will do this in his house. So usually normal people we don't do this. Maybe the least is you can just observe Vrata, chant the mantras and so on. But then usually the priest does this. So basically this is a Vrata that is to be observed while flagging, while preparing the flag post for the Vishnu temple. The flags are kept and then the Dwajarohanam is done. So basically it starts on the Dashami day, Ekadashi, Dwadashi it is done. So you can see the flag, it flies in the sky. This ritual is very, very auspicious and very famous in the Jagannatha temple, Puri. I think they change the flag every day, right? Anyone knows about that? I think the Dwaja, it is changed every day, or how it is? The evening time, morning time, something? They
Every
do.
day,
Every day, right? Yeah.
morning and
Yeah, so that ritual is very famous in the Jagannath temple, Puri. Yes, every day. Correct. So further you have so these are all different vratas that are done which are to be followed. Now let's continue. There is a story now, and the story of a king called Sumita who had observed this fast, that is the flagging fast. It's called the flagging fast, which is done on the Dashami of the Kartika month. It extends to Ekadashi and Dwadashi. And what exactly is the story of Sumita? Narada asked Sanat Kumara, he tells. So during Satya Yuga there was a king Sumita. He was a Soma Vamshi king. That is the line of the Pandavas. And he was very religious. He was a great devotee of Lord Vishnu. He used to serve other devotees also. And he was a very humble person. His queen was Satyamati. She was also a very good woman, and both of them used to worship Lord Vishnu. And regularly they used to do a lot of donation and so on. And it so happened that Satyavati, she was a great dancer, and she used to dance in the nearby temple of Lord Vishnu. And the king also, he had actually installed a very beautiful flag on the Dwadashi day of every month. That is on the Dwadashi of Shukla Paksha of every month, a new flag, beautiful flag, he used to install in the temple. So thus everyone knew about their bhakti and so on. So once it so happened that sage Vibhandaka, he came to visit this king, and the king and queen, they treated the sage with respect and so on. And the king says, you tell me how I can serve you. The sage says that I will ask you a few questions and so on. And I hear that you have installed every month, every Dwadashi, you install a flag, so it is very auspicious. So I just want to ask you a few questions with regards to this. So now the king and queen, they had a power. They knew what they used to do in their previous birth, what was their previous birth, and so on. So the sage asked that, why are you doing all this? Every month you observe a flag, you give a flag, and so on. Is there Oh, sorry, I think I lost connection. Now I think is it clear? Can you hear me, everyone?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
from where did you lose me? I didn't know. You heard about Satyamati and that king, right? Sumita, Satyamati. Yes?
Sunita's
Story I started. Okay. So the sage Vibhandaka comes to meet this queen who is there, king and queen. And at that time he asks the king and queen. Now king and the queen both had the power of remembering the previous birth. So the king, the sage Vibhandaka, he comes and tells that, why you are doing all this, so much you are devoted to Lord Vishnu. Is there any reason for this? So the king, he tells that in my previous birth, actually I was a Shudra, that's a low class person who did not do any kind of worship at all, called Malini. And mainly I had abandoned my family, society. I used to eat deer's flesh and all this. I used to rob people. So I used to do a lot of, you can say, evil activities that are there. And finally while I was doing all this, I came to a temple of Lord Vishnu, wherein I saw it was deserted, it was in a very poor condition, and there was also a small lake nearby wherein there were beautiful birds and so on. And I felt very tired, and at that time what happened was I rested near the temple. There was a water body also, and since that day I began to live in this temple. So there it was actually very deserted, very poor condition, so I cleaned the walls, repaired it, everything. So, and I also built a small hut for myself nearby. But still I used to hunt animals in order to satisfy my hunger. So like this 20 years passed about, and on that day what happened is a sadhvi, that is a female hermit, she came there. Her name was Avakokila. She came from a Nishada family. Usually you can say one who hunts birds, animals, that is Nishada. Mainly hunting birds or animals, we can say so called people, Adivasis or tribal people, that is Nishadas. Nishada reference you get in the Ramayana also. She, Guha, the friend of Rama. So Nishada people, she came from the Vindhyachala. Her family members had also deserted her. So she also came here. And when she came here, I gave her some fruits and flesh to eat. She also told her story and so on. So she also said that I was doing a lot of actions like a thief and so on. That's the reason my family also abandoned me. And I also keep wandering about here and there, and because of the Lord's grace I've come here. So like this, the king said that this is how both of us we met and we married each other. We began to live in the temple, but still we used to continue eating flesh and fruit because that is what we were doing all through our life. So we didn't know anything what we were doing, and we used to even consume wine, and we used to dance in order to Lord Hari. For Lord Hari, but we didn't know that the place was very auspicious to Lord Vishnu. We have to show devotion, nothing. It was just coincidence that happened that I was staying there, we were dancing, and thus we were offering our worship indirectly without being aware. And at that time what came was time came for death. Yamadutas came there, and at that time Vishnu Dutas also came there, and Vishnu Dutas told the Yamadutas that you cannot take both these devotees of Lord Vishnu. So Yamaduta said they are all great sinners. They have been consuming flesh. They are being thieves. They are being abandoned by the family, society. You are saying that they are great devotees of Lord Vishnu. Vishnu's so therefore we have to take them to Yamaloka. Vishnu Duta said they are not sinners at all. They are great devotees of Lord Vishnu. This woman, she has been dancing for the Lord, while this man, what he did was he has actually cleaned the premises. He has installed a dhwaja, a flag also in this temple. So thus all their sins have been destroyed, and now they have a right to go to Vaikuntham. So therefore they have served this temple for the past 32 years. This description has been mentioned here, this information, 32 years. 20 years the man lived, then the woman came in, so now 12 more years have passed about. Saying this, Vishnu Duta, they take both of them away to Vaikuntham, and that's how both of them live. And then the next birth, the king was born as Sumita and his wife, and sage Vibhandaka, he became very happy listening to this story. So the point is, just as Ajamila, even the greatest of sinners also, due to their actions, maybe they were not aware, unknowingly they perform worship to the Lord, and that's how they attained Vaikuntha. Next you have the description of the another vrata, that is Hari Pancharatra vrata. Now this is very rare, it seems. This fast is very rare in all the worlds, and this is observed for 5 days in the month of Margashirsha, starting from the 10th day, that is Dashami. Now all this is in the Shukla Paksha. Dashami till the Purnami, that is Dashami till the Purnima day, full moon day. On the first day, full day fast is observed after worshipping Lord Vishnu in the morning. Then a plain meal, a normal meal is eaten in the evening, and the fast is broken. Next day, on the 11th day, Ekadashi, Lord is done Abhisheka with milk, having ghee, curd, honey, and so on. Different types of 5 types of dry fruits are offered to the Lord, and then different prayers, everything is recited. And next day, what happens is, till full moon day, that is on 11th day, from Ekadashi, Dwadashi, Trayodashi, Chaturdashi, and the Purnami day, continuous same process you do. Morning, you do the Abhisheka using milk and so on, then you offer dry fruits. Till the Purnami day, you do the same thing. On the last day, sometimes a Havan, a Yajna is performed. And on the 6th day, that is the Prathama day, after the full moon day, the next day, you drink Panchagavya from cow products, milk products that we make. Then we worship Lord Vishnu, you feed Brahmins, and then you yourself, you consume the meal. This fast, again, it is observed every month till Kartika, that is from Margashirsha till Kartika. Many people do this. Now, today's times it seems to be difficult, but people have been following all these vratas, and thus in the month of Kartika, the last rituals are done. Further, then when on the last month, that is again Kartik, you have the Margashirsha to Kartik, we do this vrata. Then the next Margashirsha, next year again the Margashirsha comes. On that day again you observe the full day fast, and then it is said that till the 12th day, 11th and 12th day, on that day you consume only Panchagavya, it seems, nothing else. And then you worship Lord Vishnu, you donate honey, ghee, fruits and so on. And 5 jewels also, 5 kinds of jewels to Brahmin, and then you feed Brahmins and so on. And it is said that those who observe this Hari Panchaka fast, they never return from Brahmaloka, they attain Brahmaloka. So a very auspicious fast, all sins are destroyed and so on. And it is equal to donating 1,000,000 cows, this vrata. So the effects of this vrata, the blessings are also a lot. But it is quite rare, this fast, but this is also one type of fast. Okay, so with this we'll stop here. Time is up. We'll meet again next week.